I'm Reinessa. I am here with Rivalry with D2Bowie to help us learn a little bit more about the South American scene. So, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me. And it's a pleasure to talk more about South American Dota to everyone else because I feel like there's so much that people don't know about, and it's gonna be nice to unveil some of that story for you guys.
Yeah, and we were just talking about this before we went live about how Jack has kind of taught everybody about China, and so you're gonna be our Jack. You're gonna teach us about South America.
Yeah. So I mean, nowadays, when people think about South America, at least you think about pain gaming, and the story goes way back, like GRD, King RD. He used to play Dota 1,
Hmm.
but uh, King RD 4DR that is now an SG player, and also Tavo. They were like the tri-core of way back in the day. Actually, everyone knows King RD for playing support, but he was a core player, and he transitioned after they actually met HFN, which is now their carry player. Um, so I feel like the big breakthrough that came for them was during Kiev Major when they were
Hmm.
playing for the old SG actually. So it was Cat, King RD, HFN, Tavo, and 4DR, and they ended up winning against EG, if I'm not mistaken. There was the black hole star that was the big black hole that everyone knew about. And this year they ended up splitting up and paying, like they actually separated between HFN and 4DR. What I know about is that like they are very specific on how they like to run their teams, and there was a lot of problems between those two. It's not really problems, but like they're all still friends. Like I met
Hmm.
them and they're all fine, but they have very specific ideas, and it was not working, and decided to split up. So now we have the new SG and the new Pain. And I mean, they did pretty well, Pain, right? At the start, it looked like SG was doing so well, but Pain Gaming, they just found a stride, and now with Weha actually joining them, um, they're looking better than ever. So yeah, I feel like it kind of starts at Kiev Major, but that's not really true. They come from way back in the day, but I feel like that's what people can relate to because Kiev Major was pretty big.
Yeah, and everybody got to
Uh,
see it, but they have been around for a really long time, and so
yeah, it's like a really long time.
It's great to see DPC slots specifically going to South America so that they're getting this kind of international experience. Because Pain have
Hmm.
been, let's see, they were Captain's Draft, DAC, Epicenter, and Summit, I think, is where Pain was this DPC
Yeah,
season.
there
So
was WCA. Yeah, DPC. Yes.
yeah, and WCA it gives them a lot more experience. That kind of
Mhm.
international. Every region has different play styles, and you also sort of need practice with that level of pressure, in my opinion. And so you
Yeah.
talked about them bringing in Weha, and so that's another way to bring international experience into a team, right? Like, what did we see happen when Weha joined Pain?
I feel like they started to become more cohesive, but I guess more than cohesive, I feel like he just fit their play style because Weha, he can be a greedy player, but he knows what he has to do, and he's gonna work with whatever Pain gives them. And I feel like that's what they were lacking for a long time. They needed someone to enable HFN. I feel like I mean, hopefully, if Pain Gaming gets a good campaign during TI8, we're going to be able to see it more. But HFN is like a very, very solid player. I heard, Arteezy saying good things about him, Mason,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of big names actually considered him to be a T1 player. And being able to have that core and very knowledgeable and experienced player that can enable him, I feel like really changed the way that Pain can play because he can be the best version of himself with behind the team. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. And now one of the cool things is we got to see Pain at the summit. And so, what was it? Duster spent quite a bit of time on the couch, right? Yeah, and he told us all these. He was very entertaining. Like, he was a great personality to have on the couch. So, I was really happy that happened. But one of the things he said, South America is known for uh, the really aggressive play style that they've sort of taken it over from CIS and Southeast Asia. Like, South Americans are the new aggressive diving tier fours type play style. And I think that's kind of a mark of just a less, I don't want to say less experienced, that sounds wrong, but a team that just hasn't played as much at the international, the TI level, right? Because they get excited and they go for the kill shot.
Yeah.
And Duster was talking about how he was like, we know we do that. We're trying to stop. And it was funny to see kind of the maturation of the ideas of what's happening in South America. Like, it's cool to see that grow. And I don't know if that was like just the summit that they came to that decision, or if we've kind of seen that progression over the past year.
No, it's definitely a progression, and I feel like Duster is a name that really, like, he gets outshined by all the other big names there are on Pain right now. But I feel like he really brings balance in the team in another way, which is trying, like, what we were talking about like Pain being very, they just out there. They're just gonna dive with your force.
Mm-hmm.
They can be a weakness, but that's also their strength, right? Because a lot of teams are not used to playing against that. But there's obviously counters, and there's obviously ways to abuse, just baiting Pain into those weird engagements. And Duster, he's like, guys, come on! Like, there's a lot of games where you can see like HFN dive in the fountain, and Duster is an AA just hitting range barracks, just like slowly trying to get an objective. And I really feel like his presence is great because it kind of balances this unpredictability that Pain has, that is good, but can also be their downfall sometimes.
Yeah, well, we saw, I don't know if you watched OpenAI, but
I
those
did.
bots are aggressive. I mean, they ran weird support aggression strategies where they switched up the farm a lot and just constantly fought. And they showed how strong it was. Obviously, there's limitations with the hero pools and everything, but it honestly made me think of Pain. And it made me think, wow, like, what is a team that might actually take the most away from OpenAI? And it sort of like, shows how strong Pain could be, like, if they managed to execute in the same level.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Pain, they can definitely tailor that playstyle in a way that it gets more mature, and hopefully Misery is gonna help them. That's actually something we didn't talk about. Misery joining them during the summit.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually hanging out with Duster days before they travel to summit, and he was like, I asked him, what do you think about summit? Are you guys feeling good about it? And he's like, dude, we actually didn't practice much. I was like, are you guys confident? Yeah. Summit's gonna be our training grounds. Hopefully, we're gonna meet Misery there, and we're gonna try to use those ideas. So in a way, I think it's good. Like, it's not good that they didn't do well, but at the same time, if they won Summit, I feel like all the eyes are going to be on them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of fine if they didn't really do that well during the summit. They were just trying to get more experience, and they didn't actually train that much. So that's probably why the result ended up being like that. But going back to Misery, I do feel like he's kind of a wild card in how he can get all that playstyle, all that energy, and turn it into something that can work. And I do feel like that there's a lot of potential there. Hopefully, Pain can show us that that's actually true.
And so, do you think that, now granted, I have no idea what Misery's coaching style is, right? But I would say that the teams he's played on have traditionally been a very different play style. And so do you think that he'll embrace Pain's play style and kind of augment it by really diving in on the aggression, helping them develop strategies that take advantage of that? Or do you think he'll steer them towards more of the traditional play style that everyone else goes with that's a little more careful?
I'm not really sure what he's going to do, but considering how little of a timing window we have until TI, I feel like trying to improve on what they already know and what they already do is probably a better idea than just trying to switch it up completely. I feel like it could feel pretty flat for Pain if they just decided to start playing like Red Dota and just like turtling and stuff. Hopefully Misery understands that. I do feel like he's a very experienced player. He probably knows how to make the best out of the situation he's given. So yeah, hopefully we can see maybe new hero ideas. I was actually researching for the compendium, and I was trying to find out who's gonna be the player with the biggest hero pool. And TI6, Misery was the third one in biggest hero pool. So hopefully he can give some hero ideas to Pain. I do feel like their hero pool sometimes is a little bit limited, and since he's such a versatile player, maybe he can give some new ideas on these new heroes that are showing up after the patch.
Yeah. Well, South America has some unique heroes too. Like, even if their hero pools are a little bit smaller, they pick a little differently. What's coming to mind for me is Slark. Honestly, no other region plays that hero, and you think it's going to be terrible because no one plays it, and then they run a Slark game, and I'm not sure if this is Pain. I might be mixing up my teams here, but I've seen...
HFN does play Slark.
Yeah.
He has like 2,000 Slark games. It's insane.
And it's you just see this. That must be what I'm thinking of, and you're like, wow, Slark's a trash hero. Nobody ever picks him. They totally underrate it, and then suddenly, 30 minutes in or whatever, he's completely taking over the game and just lasting for forever, and just is this huge surprise factor. And so I'm really excited to see that. Like, what are the other? That's the only one that's in my head. But do they have any other ones that are kind of a little more unique? Do they still? Centaur was big a few years ago, but it's been a while.
Yeah, I feel like Weha plays heroes. It's not really South America, but since Weha is on Pain, I guess we can kind of consider
That's
South America.
That's how it works.
He actually really likes playing mid Klings, and while it's popular in pubs, you rarely see Klings in competitive games at all. So I guess that's one hero that really stands out from the current meta. Thinking back, I do feel like Tavo, Enigma is a hero that you see sometimes, but I would say Tavo is very experienced, and it might be kind of a wild card for them.
Yeah, and they also had like the play of the Summit 9 with his double black hole.
Yeah.
Like the buyback, come back in, like black. I mean, that's the clip everybody has seen from that
so
tournament.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome. So I hope we get to see more Enigma.
Yeah, and actually, Weaver now suddenly became super popular, but HFN was one of the only players that before this rise of popularity was playing Weaver back in the day. I feel like Slark and Weaver probably with Void his 3 favorite heroes. So yeah, I guess the Weaver, but he was playing it before it was cool. Kind of the Weaver hipster.
Hipster Weaver, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all these things in mind, and this might be hard to, off the top of your head come up with immediately, but what are the teams that you think Pain will struggle against the most, and who will they have the best? Like, if you were thinking of their ideal group stage to get them into the upper bracket at TI, like, who would you want them to be in a group with? And so I can start that off. You don't want them in a group with Fnatic, because Fnatic are stupidly capable of coming back from being behind and taking early game aggression and eventually punishing for it. So that would be my guess there is stay far away from Fnatic.
I agree. I feel like VP, I know this is kind of a bold statement, but Pain actually took games out of VP. I'm not sure which tournament it was.
Well,
Probably,
VP are aggressive, right? So whoever can out-aggress the other one is going to take that.
Yeah, and VP, they're the team that, let's say, 20 minutes in, they're 10, 15,000 behind. They're more likely to just give up and start over because they feel like they're just wasting time on this game than, like Fnatic, just grind like 60-minute game and try to win. So I'm gonna say VP. It's like they're definitely a great team, but their playstyle kind of works well for Pain, I would say. Any sort of aggressive team, kind of like I guess Optic is a little similar. They're quite aggressive. That's a tough question, but any team that is not super static with their lanes and just has this very specific playstyle and they're gonna play it out no matter what. I feel like that's usually hard for Pain because for now they kind of seem a little bit one-dimensional. They're gonna be aggressive and that's usually what they're going to do. So if the enemy team doesn't get baited into their own aggression, they can sometimes hold flat during the mid game and just lose.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see the Team Secret matchup because Team Secret has fallen to South America before. I think that might have been that SG. That was Wasn't it like a Rubik stole black hole and then absolutely wrecked Team Secret with a stolen? There was some play like that. I was a big Team Secret fan then, so I remember being heartbroken. But if you watch Team Secret, they have a tendency to have the static lanes, but almost it's sort of like OG and Team Secret tend to pick a little greedier, so they can really get punished by that aggression. So it's sort of, I feel like those teams are teams where if Pain gets the right draft, and so this is where Misery could be huge, is just giving them that extra level of experience to draft against someone like Puppy. I think they could really take games off of Team Secret, who ended up in the top of the DPC finishing really well and did well this season. I think that Pain could really challenge them just because of that aggression, just because Secret does tend to play a little greedier. So they can come out of the lanes incredibly far behind.
Yeah, I agree. At the same time, I feel like Secret is we're kind of biased because since Secret actually since they were invited, I mean they qualified for DPC. It's been a while since we saw them play this new dual lane meta. So I don't know how they actually adapted to that. I don't know if they're still going to be as greedy as they were. But I agree, if they still have that old play style, they can definitely get kind of out-aggressed. It's just it seems like the laning stage matters so much that if you just pick like I don't know Anti-Mage, Enigma, and Invoker in the same team, and they like playing the sort of stuff, it could be pretty tough for them in the early game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So we'll have to wait and see what the group draws are, and hope that Pain makes it through, so that we can really see what they do on the main stage. Like I really want to see them up on the main stage. I want to see them in interviews, like whether it's Slacks or Machine or whoever. I want to see everybody get a chance to kind of like really be introduced to South America and really get involved in that scene.
Yeah, I actually don't want to put you on the spot, but do you know how the group stage works? Like how many teams actually go through the main stage?
Yeah. So it's 18 teams, and they're going to get split into 2 groups of 9, and then they play best of 2 round robins against all the other teams in the group, and so bottom team in each group gets eliminated, and top 4 go winners bracket, and the remaining bottom 4 go losers bracket, where the first round is best of 1.
I see. I mean, there's a decent shot for Pain, right? It's just one team eliminated. I feel like they can definitely make it.
And I think so. What's coming out of China will be interesting because usually you would think of China as Pain's kryptonite. They are very well oiled, very very disciplined, and they're terrifying on TI. Like no matter how awful China has been all year and all the New Year's and China jokes that people make and everything, you get to TI and they are terrifying. But I don't know. I feel like Pain, these guys have been playing together. They work really well. This patch really is about aggression and laning. I feel like they could actually take some games off the Chinese teams. I mean, we mostly be talking about Western teams. But there's a decent amount of Chinese teams there that they'll have to contend with. And I think that's going to be the biggest obstacle for them in making top 4 in their group is, they're a little more experienced with the Western teams, especially after the summit. They had that practice. They had that warm up. So I think the wild card is how will they do against China? And I think that might determine whether they make top 4 or bottom 4. Hopefully not eliminated. We wanted that 9th place. We're not talking about that. That's not going to happen.
Like going back to Kiev Major, I do feel like one of the biggest strengths Pain has is actually King RD in the sense that he's a very cheerful guy. He's very confident. He's very laid back. So of all the teams, I feel like they are probably one of the only ones that won't get affected by rough start. So let's say they lose the first 2 days or something, they just get losses. King are just going to be, guys, we're fine. Let's just get back to the drawing board. Let's just play. We're okay. Like he's like their stone. He's the guy that will always deliver. He's going to be calm. And I do feel like they have a good shot of actually qualifying, just because they won't have nerve problems like some of the I guess newer teams, kind of like Pain.
Yeah,
the dark horses.
Hopefully we'll get to see that. I'm excited to see them at TI. I'm excited to see what happens. So thank you for all the insight in that. And now the next thing that I really want to know, just for general people to know, right? It's Dota, all right? This is for Reddit's sake. It's all for you guys. What are the South American memes? Right? Like the ones we like to make are talking about item dropping and taunting and all chatting and all that stuff, right? Like that's what we talk about with South America. But like what did they talk about?
All right. So I guess the biggest one, and it's not necessarily a meme, but that's definitely something that the South American players talk about, is the rivalry between Brazil and pretty much every other Spanish-speaking country. Like it's really, really rough. If you're in pubs, like the Brazilian players are gonna start crying because there's a Peruvian player in their team, or there's someone else. There's a big rivalry, and it's usually just laid back, that just people making fun of each other. but it's big. I feel like most people don't really understand how big of a rivalry there is. I guess it comes from football a lot, just because of Argentina and Brazil. But the proven players, they join the crowd as well. So yeah, there's that. Now, talking memes, I guess. I mean, I don't wanna make this like awkward or anything. But there's a lot of PPD talks. We're not very fond of PPD down here.
I mean, Reddit can go either way on that one. They love him one week, they hate him the next week. So I think you're safe.
That's true. Yeah, so that I mean, and it kind of started with the core of Pain players, right? It was I feel like it was 4DR and GRD and Tavo Warring in that game. But yeah, there's that. There's also
wait. So there's a specific game. Is it like a
you don't know
game
about it?
I mean, fill me in. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. What is this?
So, all right, so I don't remember the specifics, but basically there was going to be I don't know if it was a qualifying game for TI or if it was just a normal tournament, but the rules said that the team, like, they were gonna find a server where the ping was good for both teams, and what PPG's team at the time wanted, I feel like he was playing for EG at the time. He just wanted to play US East because they knew they were gonna win either way, and they didn't want to play with bad ping. And PPG kind of said some rough things about the players, about
Vague
Brazil.
memory of this now, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a chat and and then like Fear was in there as well. So yeah, people they don't really appreciate PPD much, but I feel like at least I understand from his standpoint what he was saying. Nowadays, I feel like it's better. People don't hate PPD as much, but at the time, it was rough. Everyone just wanted SG to qualify, and people weren't really giving them the chances. Now, there's also that King RD interview. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one. Like, it was the first time. It was at Kiev Majors actually, and King RD gave an interview, and he doesn't have the best English. So it was like a huge meme in South America. Like,
so what happened? Like what huge, like what English mistake happened, or like was it something awkward that he said?
So many English mistakes.
Not just one, a lot. Okay.
Like, I love King RD. Like, he's a great guy, but it was hard to watch because I don't know. He was trying really hard to say English words, but he would constantly introduce Portuguese words in the midst of it. So like, us Brazilians couldn't really understand what he was talking about. The English-speaking players couldn't really understand what he was talking about. It was just so funny but awkward at the same time.
So
that's probably.
So if I interview him at TI, I should do it in Spanish and just really throw him off.
I don't know how he would answer. He's probably going to be super. He's not going to get thrown off. It's pretty hard to actually throw him Tigardie off. He's always going to have something to say. You should probably, I don't even know how I would do it to actually embarrass him. He's so good with people. It's pretty rough.
And that's why he's going to help Pain through the group stages.
For sure. It's a very rare quality in players, right? Being very outspoken and good with people. So I feel like he has that going for him. I have another. Were you following the South American qualifiers for this year's TI? Like, did you?
I didn't watch them super closely. It's the same time that I stream, so I usually wasn't watching them until afterwards.
Yeah, so there's this team called Midas Club. They're kind of a tier 2 Brazilian team. They've been to the qualifiers consistently for like 2 or 3 years, and they were about to actually qualify to the main event, which is basically like 4 teams, right? And one of their players just didn't show up, and when people questioned him about why he didn't play, he said he was at the mall with his mom, and she forced him to go with her, and that became like the meme of that weekend, I guess.
Oh my gosh!
I can't do this. I'm going to the mall.
This needs to be adapted by everybody. Every single scene needs to say that.
There were a lot of memes with malls. Like, I know it actually hit Reddit, but it was so random. it's rough, you know. A lot of those players, they live with their parents, and here in Brazil, it's actually, I'm not sure how it is in the US, but in Brazil, it's super frowned upon to try to become like a professional player. So I kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, it was super funny.
Yeah, it definitely depends on like the player and their individual stories. And I also know that from what I've heard, salaries in South America are significantly lower for Dota players. So I know that if you're playing, you can't exactly say to your parents, hey, look at the piles of money I'm making. This is legitimate. It's like, hey, I'm kind of, sort of making money doing this. You're cool with that, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the position the West was in. If you watch, not True Sight, I'm blanking on the name of it now, but the original Valve documentary about Dota. And you hear Malk talking about sleeping on concrete floors for dream hacks for $1,000 prize pool and stuff. You know, it definitely used to be that way. And now with big name sponsors and all of the different orgs and the really diverse playing pool, it's not as bad for parents in the other scenes. And I think with DPC, South America is getting more
definitely
stability.
Getting better.
Yeah, which is good. So,
Yeah.
Talking about the DPC, actually, that's really exciting for the next year because doesn't SA get 2 slots?
Oh, yeah. So I'm not really sure. There's going to be a difference, right, between minors and majors because now if you're actually attending a major, you cannot attend the minor. Yeah. Do you know exactly how it works? Because
I'm kind of waiting because TI is always when Valve like makes all their final announcements and stuff, and so I'm sort of waiting to see what they settle on. But from what I remember, there's no direct invites to majors.
Yeah,
no direct invites anymore. And then if you qualify for the major, you don't play the minor, and if you win the minor, you go to the major.
Yes, that's really good because now with getting an invite to majors, I do feel like if you win the minor, I do feel like it kind of benefits those teams that are trying to grind a minor. If you actually win, you're gonna go even further. I do feel like it gives more. It's not even just South America, but any tier 2 teams around the globe, right? Because if you check Europe, for instance, they do have like Liquid and OG, but where's everyone else, right? Yeah. I feel like it's good not only for South America, but the tier 2 scene in general. I feel like it's a breath of fresh air into everyone.
Yeah, and now, so the reason I bring it up for South America specifically is because I would say they obviously have the weakest tier 1 scene in that, you know, if you look at South America, they really don't have any tier 1 results yet. So they're the least developed, kind of the least deep as far as kind of the talent pool right now. And I would say that's just because of experience, not because of lack of talent. And so something like this new DPC season, which really is going to be amazing for a tier 2 scene, I think should help expand South America. I went to Liquipedia and they list notable teams by region. And so you look at most regions, it's 8 to 15 teams, right? You go to China, it's a huge list. And you look at South America, it's only 5 teams. They only have 5 teams listed there, which is tiny because when you look at their open qualifiers, there's a huge amount of signups and talent and people interested in playing. So I'd like to see that list grow.
Yeah, it's good because it kind of actually creates orgs and not just a bunch of players trying to compete for whatever qualifiers there are. Because I feel like getting more orgs and stable teams really will change the region, so we don't have mall memes anymore, and we can just enjoy Dota a little bit more here.
No more mall memes. So what can we expect to see from South America? So obviously Pain did great in the qualifiers. They showed us impressive things at the summit. So, we can expect to see great things from them. But SG did really well. You were saying Midas was about to move on to the main qualifiers except for the mall. So who are the players to watch out for? Who are the rising stars, the reliable? What are we going to see this year?
All right, so that's kind of a long shot, but I'm pretty confident. There's this boy called Hiko. He just got 18, last week, and he played for Midas. He was on this team specifically with the mall guy, and he's like a rank 50 player, having 18 years old. He doesn't know any of those big name pro players. He kind of learned all by himself. He's super new into the scene, and I do feel like our scene specifically lacks a lot of supports. So I do expect him to be in a. If he's not on a big team, he can start actually grinding a name for himself. I feel like Hiko, maybe not this year, but definitely in the near future, is gonna be a big name. This guy is so good. He has the right mentality. So Hiko definitely one of those guys. Liposa, I feel like he's the offlaner for SG. I'm not really sure what SG is gonna do with their tricore. If they're gonna revamp the entire lineup. I'm not even sure what Pain will do, right? Because I don't know if they're gonna stick together. Because last year, I feel like maybe only 2 or 3 teams actually stayed with their roster. We might see a lot of shuffling, but I do feel like Liposa is gonna be big next year. Yeah, so that's probably my two big names.
All right, so Hiko and Liposa.
Yeah, and maybe Duster as well. Duster is so underrated. Let's put Duster in.
Duster was awesome. Duster at every summit, like every tournament. I want more interviews with that guy. He was great.
He's amazing.
So the other thing, kind of the last thing that I think we'll talk about for now, we can talk later too, is we talked a little before about the effect of kind of international influences on South America. So Weehaw coming in to play, Misery coming in to coach. And we've definitely seen that in other regions. There's been a lot of mixing. So it kind of started with Black playing, Europe, China, Southeast Asia, all over the place. And now, Fnatic is mostly Western players for a Southeast Asian team. And then you look at EG and they're all European pretty much. And so we've seen a lot of regional mixing, but there hasn't been a lot with South America. So Tomato was sort of with VGJ, but then there were visa issues. And so really all we see is Weehaw in South America. Do you think we'll see South American players spread out or more players come into South America? Because the big thing for that is I would say the money has to be there to bring in non-South American players like Weehaw. So are we going to see any of that, or is it still too soon?
That's a good question. I feel like both can happen. Probably on a smaller scale, South American players going out. I feel like depending on results, you never know. Like, I don't know, what if Pain gets top 4? Maybe they feel like they can do better. They split up, and one of those players actually end up, in another team. I'm actually surprised we don't have any big orgs coming to South America. Like, not only it's cheaper to have like a gaming house or just actually establish yourself here. You now have the 2 DPC slots, right? I feel like if we didn't saw it last year with 1, it has to happen with 2. It seems so obvious to me, but maybe there are issues that I don't really. I guess there's not a lot of people from the scene living here, so they don't really know how to go about actually living here. Where's the best city? Can you actually get resources and do all you need to actually maintain the players? But I do feel like it has to happen in the near future. If not this year, definitely next year.
I wonder if it has to do with just people's familiarity, right? So if you are a big org, right, and a lot of these orgs are the ones we're thinking of are going to be based out of Europe or they're based out of the US, pretty much. And you don't really have the support staff in place, say like you don't speak Spanish, don't have people who speak Spanish. You don't know these players, you don't know the managers, you don't know who to talk to. And I wonder if that's actually the biggest obstacle, because it is cheap to run a team house down there. You do have 2 TPC slots. Like, there's great opportunities, but I wonder if it's just the access, because South America is so new to the international scene. Like, this is really only the first year they've had an established foothold in it. So I wonder if that's the problem.
That's probably a big part of it, and probably the language as well. Because if you actually see other European countries, even if they have a different language, a lot of people actually speak English there. And in Brazil,
everybody speaks English.
Yeah, in Brazil, like, people speak English, but it's not really that well. So it's pretty hard to live here if you only speak English. That's probably one of the big problems as well. And maybe players, right? Usually the players, they're comfortable with their environment. Maybe just bringing them like to a different place would maybe kind of, I don't know. I don't want to generalize, but I usually feel like players, they're very comfortable with their environment and stuff, and just changing might not be great for them, or maybe they don't want to move out. But hopefully, I mean, I would like to see more integration. You know, having those mixed teams, more ideas will definitely freshen the scene a little.
Yeah, we saw Digital Chaos had a South American team for a little while at least. They made an effort to get
it
involved.
was the old Pain Gaming.
Yeah, that's
it was
what I thought.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe they'll get back and maybe they'll get involved. Maybe something will happen. Because that was, I mean, that's really the only org I saw really reaching out to South America was Digital Chaos. I can't, you know, nothing else. And that's what the other issue actually, when you think about it, is Valve's rules that the same owner cannot have two teams. And so while that might be great for clearing up conflicts of interest, like between OG and EG, because like Fly owns OG but is playing on EG, or all of the Chinese teams owned by the same person, that might be good for clearing up that, but that might actually be harmful for the South American scene because it'll make it harder. Because I could see orgs picking up a second team, but they're not going to abandon their main team probably to go with South America, at least not yet. Maybe they will. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, I guess what you can do is like have a secondary org that is linked to, like, what if you create a different org owned by someone you know, and that org actually...
That's exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be a shell company org. Someone's going to sign a piece of paper, ownership over, and give them 51% in it. That's what we'll see happen. But
that's probably... I mean, I guess it's good for the South American scene to some extent. At least we're going to have, you know, those different orgs showing up. But yeah, I really hope we see more of that. I guess a little bit of it depends on how Pain Game actually does during TI, but it's probably inevitable anyways, right? With Dota growing up to different regions and stuff. It's going to be nice to see.
So we've got exciting stuff for TI, some fun memes, and some hopes for the DPC future. So I think I've answered all my questions. Do you have anything else you want to say about South America?
I mean, I just hope, okay, if there's any South American viewers watching right now, guys, please. I know we all love Dota. You know, I love Dota as well. Love King RD. Calm down, okay? Let's be nice with those guys, because if you actually check the South American forums, sometimes it's so hard to actually read, because Pain, like, they do relatively well, but they lose one game, and everyone's like, I knew it, those guys. Now Duster is actually dyeing his hair pink. He doesn't care about Dota anymore. He just cares about the fans. He just wants to kiss girls. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? Just give them a break. They just dye their hair. It's just like...
Wasn't it because because of his girlfriend why he didn't bleach all of his hair? Wasn't it because of his girlfriend? Yeah. Yeah,
it was because of his girlfriend. But like either way, they were complaining about them dyeing their hair because they could be playing Dota instead of going to the salon. And I was like, guys, calm down. Like, we're all passionate and that's awesome, but at the same time, let's just cheer for those guys. They actually got to TI. That's the first time. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, so I hope Ping does well, but regardless, we're in a great place right now.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to see. So do you have any shout outs you want to give before we wrap this up? Like where
I just want
find
to
you, or
I mean, if you guys want to find me, my Twitter handle is D2Bowie. My Twitch handle is D2Bowie for 3 at the end. And I guess I don't have any shout outs, but it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me, Reinessa.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me. It was great education for me. I'm all excited, and I can't wait to see the guys now and watch them play. So I'm excited, and thank you so much for just sitting and explaining it all to me.
All right, it was a pleasure. Hope we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, and we'll see how they do at TI.